The city never really sleeps. It just changes layers. Once upon a time, night meant neon, wet asphalt, and the hum of late trains. Now it's server racks, biometric booths, and people lying motionless with headsets on, while their minds go wandering off into someone else's life. Welcome to the age of borrowed lives. Imagine this. You walk into a quiet little shop that looks like a cross between a spa, a bank vault, and a confession booth. You sign your waivers, pick a profile, lie down. A crown of sensors settles over your skull. There's a soft hiss, cool gel, neural interface, and then your life fades out like a radio slipping out of range. And another life fades in. In this near future, deep dive VR isn't just goggles and game controllers. It's full stack immersion. Sensory feeds piped straight into your brain, motor signals ghosted so you don't get up and punch a wall, and memory buffers that blend what you see with how you feel. You don't just watch a character, you ride inside their nervous system. You taste the cigarette they light with shaking hands. You feel the weight of their secrets in your chest. They call them empathy machines. Therapists say they're revolutionizing trauma work. Walk a mile in someone else's shoes, literally. Corporates use it for training. Be the customer you keep failing. Couples use curated bundles. Each partner lives a week as the other. And then there's good old-fashioned escape. Didn't become a musician? Borrow the life of a bar band guitarist with just enough talent and just enough heartbreak. Wondered what it'd be like if you never left your hometown? Or if you'd never settled down at all? There's a catalog for that. Alternate paths, alternate pasts, alternate futures. All neatly packaged in encrypted experiences, ready to rent by the hour. Sounds perfect, right? A safe way to try on different destinies without burning your own to the ground. But under the glow of all that promise, the shadows start to look longer. If you can spend every evening living someone else's drama, what happens to your own? If your most meaningful memories were pre-recorded by a stranger with good lighting and better editing, are they still meaningful? How long before just one more session turns into, I'll log back into my real life tomorrow? And if a simulated life can make your heart race, your eyes water, your palms sweat, who gets to say it's not as real as the one where you're just staring at a cracked phone screen in a dark room? Spend enough time in borrowed lives and something strange starts to happen. Your pronouns get slippery. At first it's easy. You log out and say, wow, that was wild. He nearly got himself killed. But give it a few months and you catch yourself thinking, I nearly got myself killed. The boundary between me and them starts to smear. You carry their reflexes. You wake up humming songs from a childhood you never had. You miss people whose names you only know from the session profile. Your brain's not built with neat folders labeled real and virtual. It just files experiences under felt this. Philosophers had a go at this long before the headsets. Robert Nozick had this thought experiment called the Experience Machine. Imagine a device that could give you any experience you want, perfectly convincing, forever. Would you plug in and stay there? He reckoned most of us wouldn't, because we don't just want to feel happy, we want to actually do things, be someone real, own our story. Deep Dive VR is like a cheeky, modern remix of that question. You're not locked in forever. You can clock off, grab a coffee, pay your bills. But you can also live 100 lifetimes without actually moving the needle in your own. So what counts as your story? Is it the legal name on your license? Or the people who cry when you don't log back in? And if those people only know you as a role you hired by the hour, Does that make them fake, or just another kind of real? Then we get to the icky part, responsibility. In borrowed lives, you can rewind. Make the risky choice, watch it burn, then reset and pick the safer option. You can walk away from consequences like you're backing out of a bad save file. But you still felt it. The adrenaline, the guilt, the power. Does rehearsing cruelty in a sandbox make you kinder in the street? Or just better practiced? If you find purpose as a decorated surgeon in a rental life, but in your real life you're stacking shelves and ghosting your mates, does that make you enlightened or lost? Are you exploring who you could be or hiding from who you are? Somewhere between those questions, your identity starts to look less like a solid statue and more like a collage. Bits of you, bits of them, glued together with pixels and wishful thinking. Make borrowed lives cheap enough, fast enough, normal enough, and the whole social fabric starts to warp. Law first. If you assault someone in a shared simulation, but their body never bruises, is it a crime or just bad taste? Legislators argue about psychological injury indices, while lobbyists quietly remind them how many voters spend their weekends renting hero complexes. Alibis get messy. I was in a VR booth at the time means nothing if your avatar was busy committing digital fraud in a simulated banking system that looks suspiciously like the real one. Crime goes upscale too. Black market memories, unlicensed captures of real people's lives ripped from hacked implants and sold as underground experiences. Live a week inside a celebrity without consent. Be a whistleblower on the run, minus the actual risk. If your pain, your history, can be packaged and traded, then identity itself becomes a commodity. Relationships change flavor. Some couples spend more time together in curated fantasy lives than in their cramped real apartments. Perfect communication, perfect lighting, arguments that can be rewound and edited into mutual understanding. Meanwhile, their offline selves bump into each other in the kitchen like strangers fighting over the last clean mug. Parents buy empathy packs for their kids, a weekend as a refugee, a month as someone living with chronic illness. Good intentions sold in glossy boxes. Experience suffering, then log out and go back to brunch. Manufactured empathy on demand. Power, as usual, follows the money. The big platforms don't just sell escapism, they sell narratives. Want a population that trusts your brand, your government, your version of history? Seed the catalog with borrowed lives that quietly steer people there. After all, if you can choose who you become for a few hours, someone's choosing the menu. And somewhere in all this glittering mess sits a simple, stubborn truth. For every borrowed life you can slip into, there's the one life you keep slipping out of. The inbox you ignore, the relationship you let idle, the dreams you keep outsourcing to better scripted selves. Maybe the real noir mystery in this future isn't who's pulling the strings behind the curtain, or which memories are real. Maybe it's smaller. When the headset comes off, when the room is quiet, and there's no background score, can you stand being the unedited version of yourself? With all the borrowed lives on offer, the hardest thing might still be the oldest one, staying logged in to your own.